Hi, Sunny here. Today I'm going to show you how to play Walk in the Shadow by Queensryche from the Rage for Order album. So here is Guitar 1 intro. Here's what it sounds like. Okay, behind Guitar 1, here's Guitar 2 of intro, and this is what it sounds like. Okay, here's Guitar 1, verse 1. I'm going to play the intro leading into the verse, and I'm going to play it slower than the recording. Here's what it sounds like. Okay, so that was verse 1, and here's Guitar 2, verse 1. Alright, so here's a chorus. It goes like this. And the second time you play the chorus, it goes into solo, but right before the solo it ends differently. So it goes like this when it ends. Right before the solo, this part goes like this. Alright, so let's break it down. The intro, here's how to play the intro. So that's the riff, and basically it's F sharp minor. So you have a D4 and G2 and B2. You play those three notes together, and then use your ring finger on the 4th fret on the D, and your index finger on the 2nd fret of G and B together. And then you play the you put your pinky and you put it on the 4th fret of G. So basically you're playing D4 and G4 together. And once you play that twice, just those two notes, you gotta use your pinky and pull off from the 4th fret to 2nd fret on the G string. So and after they pull it off the 2nd fret, you gotta kind of mute on the D string, and you play the F sharp minor again, D4 and G2. So the whole thing goes like this so far. Again. And and you play D4 and G4 together again, and then quickly you play E major third interval. That's D2 and G1, and once you play that with your middle finger and index finger, you play a 2 note, and you put your ring finger on the 2nd fret on the G string. So basically playing the A perfect fourth interval. So you're playing D2 and G2 together. So far we have this. You do that again, you play the E major third and A again, so that's D2 and G2 again, and then play the D power open chord. So there's open D string, open D string, G2 and B3. So the whole thing goes like this. We'll do that again. Repeat. So the whole thing goes like this, a little faster. So that's the intro, guitar 1. Guitar 2 goes like this. So the rhythm, you guys start with, you mute on the 2nd fret of the E string 4 times, and you play the F sharp chord, just the power chord. You play E2 and A4 together. So, and then you play that F sharp power chord twice without muting. Twice, and then you go, and then you play a mute 4 times, and you go on the F sharp chord again. So the whole thing slowly goes like this so far. Okay, so you do that 3 times. And you play the F sharp chord twice again, and you play, and then you mute, instead of muting on the 2nd fret of E string, you mute on the open A string. You play the D power chord, which is A5 and D7. So this is a little tricky part. You go from the F sharp twice, open E string, mute 4 times, and you play the D power chord. And from the D power chord, you do it 3 more times again. Same pattern. And after the last time you play this, after you play the 5th fret 4 times on the A string, and you gotta play the open E string 4 times. Alright. Let me play the whole thing slowly for you. So it goes like this. Repeat again. I'm sorry. So that's the second guitar of the intro. Okay, here's the guitar 1 verse 1 breakdown. Slowly it goes like this. So what I'm playing is I play again this F sharp, so it's E2. So I'm playing the E2 mute, slightly mute, and just go up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, like that. So you do that 10 times. Basically I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And then you'll play the second fret of D and pull off on open string. And do 2 more times on the E string, muting. And an open D string, unmute. And 4th fret on the A. So the whole thing goes like this. So you can group 4 notes together. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the second part goes like this. Guitar 1. So what I'm playing is I play the open E string again 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Actually, I'm sorry. Take that back. You play 9 times on the mute, slightly mute on the E string. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. And so when you do that last note, you basically downstroke on the open E string, and then you go upstroke on the second fret of D string, muting. Downstroke on the D, second fret on the G string, upstroke on the 5th fret on the D string with your pinky, down on the D2, actually I'm sorry, you gotta go back to the low E string, and then second fret of D, down on the D5, and up on a D4. Slowly, the whole thing goes like this. Okay. So that's guitar. So that's this guitar 1, verse 1. Now guitar 2 goes like this. All right. So what I'm doing is I play 10 times on the second fret of the E string, slightly mute. And then play the second fret on the D string, hammer on the 4th fret, and second fret again on the low E string, second fret of D, and the 4th fret on the D, and pull off on second fret. So that's the first measure. Second measure, 8 times on the slightly mute on the second fret of E string, second fret on D and hammer on the 4th fret, E2 and D2, and then 4th fret on the D, pull off a second fret, open D, A4. Second measure slowly. So 2 measures together goes like this. So that's a 2 measure. The third measure goes like this. So I'll do 10 times on the low E string, open string, slightly mute 10 times. And then 7/5 on the D string, low E string again one time, and then 5, 7, 4 on the D string. So the whole thing goes like this. And it goes back to okay, so at the end of verse 1, he'll play this like a I call it return. It's like return. It's almost like a turnaround at 12 Bar Blues. So it's like a turnaround and plays verse 2. So at the end of verse 1, it plays this, and then it goes back to it goes to verse 2. So this is the part, the turnaround is to play the F sharp chord, power chord. So that's E2, A4, D4. And you play the second fret of D and G together. And then E major third, which is D2 and G1. And back to D2 and G2 together. And F sharp minor third, that's D4 and G2. So this one. So this next part is E major third. That's D2 G1, and then D2 and G2 together. And slightly mute open string on the E string twice, D2 and G2 again together, E major third, and then twice more on the low E string, and they go into verse 1 again. Okay, again the turnaround goes like this. Alright, so that's the turnaround, goes to verse 2, and then the chorus. Okay, the chorus is actually my favorite part of the riff of the song next to the intro. So the chorus plays like this. Alright, so what I'm playing is I'll play the F sharp low E string second fret twice, actually one time, and then you play basically I bar my hand into like a B minor chord, bar chord, but I'm playing I'm actually just playing the D4 with my ring finger, 4th fret on the G string with my pinky, and the 3rd fret on the B string. So basically play 2nd fret on the low E string twice, just one time, and down up on that 3 string I just told you about, D4, G4, and B3. And you lift those fingers up when you play 2nd fret of D, G, and B together. And you move your hands up, you bar in the C sharp minor bar chord, and you play the same shape we just showed you, but 2 frets up on the 6th fret of D, G, and B string on the 5th fret. Just one time. And then again 2nd fret of D, G, and B, and you play the B minor chord, D4, G4, and B3 again. So So you do that twice, and then you do the D chord. So you play the D power chord open D string and second fret with G, and then you play the basically D chord together, open D string, G2 and B3 twice. You lift up your middle finger, you play the second fret of G and B together, and then you play G6 and B5 together, and back to the second fret of G and B, and back to the D chord. So you do that twice, and then repeat again. You play the and the last time, and the second time you play the D chord, it goes like this. So what I'm doing is I play it. You move your hands down to you play first fret of G and second fret of B string together, and you play G1 B3, and you back you play that chord again, and you go back where you play G1 and B2 again, and then you play 4th fret of G and D together, and then you put your pinky on the 6th fret on the G string and play F sharp power chord at this position, and open low E string 3 times, and you play the F sharp power chord at the 2nd fret position of low E string. So the whole thing goes like this slowly.